Stu, I have no idea, other than those stories that I sent you, what we're even going to talk about tonight. But it's going to be
I found a few things over the week. There's been some nonsense that happened in the past couple of days too. I don't even really have, kind of like the other things. I want to talk about it just to address it, but I haven't even brought up any stories on it because everything's so new that anything we bring up is going to be incorrect. But we'll definitely address them.
I want to make a personal announcement. I've got new glasses on, so you guys need to tell me if I look like a dork. Stu told me I look like a dork. Actually, I think he said dildo is what he said.
No, that was dickhead, Matt.
Okay, one of those things.
Yeah.
So you guys need to tell me if these glasses are freaking lame or not. So I'm having a hard time seeing out of the damn things, to be honest with you. But we're going to keep trying it for a week. I just put them on this afternoon. So I just picked them up. So anyways, Stu, what do we have? What are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, we've got several. Pete Hegseth, whatever you think about him and his qualifications, and he's not an 06, 07, 08, so he shouldn't be in charge of anything.
I wish he was enlisted, to be honest with you. I love the fact they put him in there, and I love the fact that people are having meltdowns over it. I would even prefer if he was an enlisted dude, to be honest with you. That's no surprise, but go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. He basically addressed a big contingent of military brass and not really gave them a dressing down, but just, things are changing around here. Here's what we're changing. Here's why. And there are going to be standards and they're going to be upheld. And it's funny. Some of the, I've got a complete, it's from the Brain Trust on The View, one of Matt's favorite people, Sunny Halston. She's got a quote here, and she answers her own question in her statement, but she's too stupid to realize it. So we'll look at that real quick. It made me laugh whenever I was reading the article. A story I found, it's been going on for about a week now. In Des Moines, there was an illegal alien that had been hired as the school superintendent, despite having a criminal record, despite none of his credentials being able to be verified, his everything about him being done behind closed doors. And when ICE went to apprehend him, he fled from the stop in a school district vehicle. And when he was found, he had an illegal handgun, a knife, and $3,000 in cash on him.
And they were paying him, I think, $300,000 a year, allegedly.
Oh yeah, it was. Because that was. I've got like two stories on here. There's a couple of stories, and one of them did have what he was being paid. I was trying to find it again. Oh well, here, we've got that. We'll talk about that in there. But yeah, just ridiculous amounts of money. Got a story here about Mamdani in New York, kind of what his plans are, what his vision is for New York City. We'll discuss that, and it goes about the direction you would expect it to. And
Eric Adams, Stu, did Eric Adams withdraw from the race?
I think this mentioned it. Let me see.
I'm wondering why the hell he withdrew from the race.
Yes, he did. He withdrew from the race over the weekend. So either they found something on him and said, best thing for you to do, step aside because this guy's even crazier than you are, and we're in New York, and that's what we're looking for.
Oh boy, it's going to destroy New York. Yeah.
I've got a couple of other stories here. They're filler stories in the sense that, they're an interesting thing to talk about. Two of them are kind of, they're a little concerning because it's what I can see trying to be put in place here if the Democrats regain power at the end of Trump's presidency. We'll talk a couple of things here, and I mean, it's honestly some of it is stuff that they've already tried to do under Biden. But we'll look at that. Then there's another couple little stories we have with the DOJ suing the Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, over concealed carry permits and
dragging their feet on the, of course.
Yeah, and then we've got a Pennsylvania Democratic House candidate. He's a county commissioner right now in Pennsylvania. He's overseeing a fund that was part of a settlement with opioid manufacturers, and the fund is supposed to be going towards rehabilitation, drug treatment programs, and everything else. But he's decided to reappropriate this money and put it towards, excuse me,
hookers and blow?
No, even better. This is being used to transport kids as young as 14 to LGBTQ youth centers that offer medical transition seminars and approving, grants to Planned Parenthood. And there's another facility in this area that's called the Rainbow Room. And I think, if I remember right, this is the one that first came to attention when they were doing the drag queen story hours and stuff. I think that that name just sounded very familiar, but I was reading through here some of they were highlighting some of the.
It sounds familiar to you from your days. Well, we're not even going to get into that from way back when.
The only way I found out about it was you showed me where it was.
You're right. I did. I should have never done that.
Shouldn't have.
I didn't know. I didn't know how you were going to go.
It happens.
Something deep into that lifestyle. So
whoa, easy. But when you go looking at some of the events and the themes that are hosting here, and the fact that they're bringing children into these, like this one here, and we'll look at it. But the age group LGBTQ youth and friends, ages 14 to 21.
Well, it sounds like the people involved with this need to go to jail. Next stop, jail.
Yes,
these used to go to jail for. I mean, I don't understand.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
I mean, you're putting 14-year-olds in the same room as 21-year-olds, and I don't see how it isn't a jailable offense. But
it is, and hopefully it soon will be again.
Yeah. So those are the stories we're looking at covering. The things we're gonna talk about, and I don't know, do you have a preference on where you want to start, Matt? On what you want to look at?
Let's start with the Pete Hegseth story a little bit, and we'll just briefly touch on that because I like the energy, to be honest.
Yeah. I was going through how I'd go through and highlight some of the articles with some good quotes and stuff out of it. I found myself highlighting like paragraphs. I have like almost a whole page highlighted just because of he's doing the no shit. It's like, again, the military's there is to go into somebody else's house, break their shit, and go home. Yeah. And that's what he's getting it back to.
Well, you saw the full meltdown when he brought all of these generals and admirals together, and he gets up on stage and he lets them have it 2x4, right? No more fat generals. Everybody's going to have to pass PT standards and height and weight for their age, including generals and admirals. And combat arms, well, all MOSs, but combat arms in particular, are going back to the single men's high standard. Okay. And if people can't make that standard, right, which we want a fraction of the male population to be able to get into some of these units, a fraction, especially special operations units. Right.
Yeah.
So if there is some freak of a woman out there who says she can get in and meet all of those same standards, okay, then so be it at that stage. But if they can't get in, they shouldn't have been there in the first place. And when you lower the standards to get women in, you're also letting shithead men in. Okay? Not necessarily shitheads, but people that didn't belong there. And I can tell you over the last, since basically this damage started under Obama, and it's drastically destroyed our military in a major way, including special operations. Some of these people coming out, I don't know if you guys follow any of these channels. You're starting to see some really immature shit with dudes that have SEAL or Ray next to their name or Ranger next to their name. And it's because the standards were lowered. And now these people that have already served in these units are getting out. And these people, I would contend to say, wouldn't have gotten in before. And if we're going back to these standards, not going to get in then. But that big window that opened up under Obama, really, it was towards the end of Obama, right? And Biden just stepped on the gas. They have destroyed our military with letting in all sorts of garbage that had no business being in the military. There's a guy named Jameson Travels. Do you ever watch that channel, Stu?
What's the name of it?
Jameson's Travels.
No.
I'm sure you have, because I've put it up before. And he's a vet. He was a Marine, and he puts up these, like, he pulls off a what some of these military members are putting up, and it is the cringiest shit you've ever seen. You're like, how are they getting away with this? And first of all, how did they get in the military? They're
Oh,
all
is this the
fat,
older guy
they're
with the
overweight.
beard?
Yes,
Yeah.
Jameson
I've seen
Travels.
him.
Yeah. And he's got a great channel, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's, you're wondering how the hell these people got in the military in the first place, and how they were able to even get away with putting these cringe videos out there for the world to see. It really makes the military look like shit. And what's the sad thing is people think, oh, the military is really like this. They don't have discipline. People are out of shape. People can basically go on and talk about disregarding orders from President Trump and everything. No, that's never been the way the military has been.
Yeah.
Ever, ever, ever. This is part of the systematic destruction. We've talked about this ad nauseum. Everything that you've seen from the Obama administration, from the Biden administration, everything you have seen doesn't make sense when you look at it as a normal individual, thinking that they have the country's best interest in mind. If you take that bullshit away and understand that their whole plan was to destroy everything, destroy America, destroy our military, destroy our governmental agencies, destroy. That's what they're doing in order to get us into this 15-year plan, World Economic Forum, one world government bullshit, right? You have to collapse the United States. That's what they've done. It all makes sense when you come at it from the angle. Everything they did was to destroy, opening up the gates of our borders and just flooding our country with tens of millions of people. We had no idea where they came from, bringing in disease, bringing in crime, bringing in who knows what, fentanyl, everything under the sun. And then us providing the safety net for them. The federal government partnering up with NGOs, which are basically Lutheran ministries, Catholic charities, and all these other organizations that were being paid billions of dollars of our taxpayer money to facilitate rehoming all of these illegals that we have no idea who the hell they are, all in an attempt to destroy. And every one of those people that took part in any of this need to be held accountable. Any one of those organizations or people that took part in any of this need to be held accountable, as goes these woke generals that stood by and allowed the military to be eviscerated from within. And they did. So I have a feeling we're getting ready for a massive, they say it's going to be 30% purge of the leadership from the military. And I can't wait for it to happen, to be honest with you, because these generals and admirals are a freaking disgrace. They're a
Well,
disgrace.
the one quote he says, if you do not meet the male physical standards for combat positions, cannot pass a PT test, or don't want to shave and look professional, it's time for a new position or a new profession. He added, it's tiring looking out at combat formations or really any formation and seeing fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the world. And that's exactly it. He talks about, he says, let me see, where was the one I was, this administration has done a great deal from day one to remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that infected our department, to rip out the politics. No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship, no more division, distraction, or gender delusions, no more debris. As I've said before and will say again, we're done with that shit. And that's what I was saying. Our military, its job is to break shit, to cripple and destroy the enemy's ability to prosecute their war. That's the job, not the DEI, the this and that.
And to intimidate the rest of the world from starting shit so we keep peace.
Yes.
The ultimate goal is peace, right? And you can't keep peace unless you've got that big stick, which is our military, right? So you need a big effect. And we have some big threats on the horizon potentially with China. China is a mess. I mean, as far as the United States is concerned, they are spending money. They are developing technology. They're stealing our technology. They're doing all sorts of stuff that prove what a threat they are to the United States. You can see what they've done as far as hurting us economically. And we built that country. We built that country because we allowed globalists and rhino Republicans, along with Democrats, to open up everything to our biggest enemy in the world, and that is China. Don't listen to this bullshit about Russia. It's China. China is our biggest threat. Period. Amen.
Now, talking about the brainiacs on The View, Matt's celebrity crush, Sonny Hostin, said,
well, it's between her and Joy Behar.
Man, that made me throw up a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're fantastic ladies. I heard they were getting ready. I heard they were getting ready to do a calendar. They were going to put a calendar in.
Oh, I don't need. That's a mental image. I do
Whoopi
not
Goldberg.
Need.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wake up dry heaving tonight as that creeps into my brain.
Mm-hmm.
But she says, here's her take. What we just read is thing about, look, we're war fighters, need to be in war fighter shape to do war fighter shit. Sonny Hostin says, Hegseth said he was going to return to the highest male standard for combat positions because troops were fat. I don't understand how that was supposed to be an uplifting message for our military. It was a really bizarre thing. He started talking about woke DEI policies. By the way, there are no gender quotas in the military. By the way, he fired more than a dozen military leaders, many of them people of color and women. Okay, she answered her question in the first part of her statement.
Exactly.
He got rid of people who were deemed not qualified to be in the position that they held.
And she goes in there and just she lies. There's no gender quote. Are you kidding me? That is so much bullshit. That shit was rampant in the military. It's 100%. But these women get on there and they just open up their mouth and lie, just like CNN or MSNBC. And they feel if they're all telling the same lie and they push it hard enough, this is propaganda 101.
But you're telling me Sonny Hostin's not a professional military journalist, warfighter journalist? I thought for sure she was.
She's not a professional anything, including attorney. Give me a break.
Yeah.
So,
then she
do you
says,
know who gave her? Do you know who gave her her big break? By the way,
who?
Bill O'Reilly on the O'Reilly Factor.
Oh Jesus!
Years and years and years ago, he used to bring her on. Yep.
But here she goes. The last statement she says, like, I just don't understand the sort of hypocrisy of fire. Again, not sure how it's hypocritical, but again, like doing the Al Sharpton thing of just throwing words in there to make it sound good. I just don't understand the sort of hypocrisy of firing these people, having all these people meet together and then denigrating them. He wasn't denigrating anyone. He was saying there are standards. The standards are going to be upheld. If you find that denigrating,
he wasn't denigrating. He was delivering what's known as a no shitter. This is the way it's going to be. And if you don't like it, you can leave. Period. Amen. Some of you are going to leave anyways. So, yeah.
Yeah. Freedom said that Adams cited lack of campaign funds as his reason for withdrawing. And apparently the city's campaign finance board decided not to provide matching funds. So that basically crippled his financing of everything.
So you've got Curtis Sliwa as the Republican, who actually is a good dude, running against, because he's the guardian angel guy, been around for years, running against this Mandani, or Mandani, whatever the hell his name is, right? They're going to destroy that fucking city, man. Maybe this is what needs to happen, but boy, oh boy, you hate to see it happen, even in New York. You don't want to see American cities get destroyed. So,
we'll talk about that next. Here's his plan for New York. $65 million plan to turn New York into a gender-affirming sanctuary for transgender youth. You can't make this stuff up, Matt. You can't make these headlines up.
Yeah, this is unreal.
Mamdani's platform includes a slew of controversial far-left programs for the city, including investing tens of millions of dollars into so-called gender-affirming care for adults and children. Mamdani declared he would ensure that New York City is a sanctuary city for the LGBTQIA community. If elected mayor, he vowed to establish an office for LGBTQIA affairs and invest $65 million in gender-affirming care.
Did you say office or orifice? Did you say office
Mamdani told
orifice?
Cox that to fight the Trump admin, New York must fully fund its own services.
Hold on, Stu. Hold on.
Yeah.
Did you say office or orifice?
It's probably interchangeable in this context.
And what was the dude's name that you're quoting?
Mamdani?
No, the other. There was somebody else.
No, this was all him.
Oh, I interrupted you. So I think you pronounce his name Mandingo.
I'm pretty sure that I don't think that's it.
That's what we're going to call him.
That's
he's going to do a number on this city. He is going to do a number on this city.
On the orifice.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that goes back. You're showing your age now, Matt.
Yeah, I know.
But so this is the priority. This is where their priority lies in the taxpayer dollars. It's not the crime in New York. It's not the drugs, the gangs, anything else. It's the I was going to say the sparkly issues, the issues with glitter, but that just seemed like it was too on the nose. But that's what it is. It's the easy stuff to show that, oh, look how much we care. We're not doing anything to make quality of life better for 99% of the population of New York, but we're going to spend all of this tax money on the less than 1% just to get street cred and to have bragging rights about how much we care about the downtrodden and marginalized.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. But
it was, you know what? Since we're talking about this guy here, we'll run over this other story that I was talking about with this. He's a commissioner right now, but he's a Democratic House candidate. Use funds meant for recovering opioid addicts to transport kids to LGBTQ plus Youth Center offering medical transition seminars. And you scroll down through here. I highlighted entirely too much, but you can just look here at this. The Sex Ed Night Masturbation. Fun facts, weird history, and breaking stigma. Ages 14 to 21.
Oh, my Lord.
Wednesday, Translating Transition. Learn about the basic of transgender identities, social transition, medical transition, and more. LGBTQ youth and friends, 14 to 21. In 2021, the Rainbow Room Initiative had an initiative called Roy G. Biv, which caters to children between 10 and 14 years old, and hosted a drag queen story time featuring 4 drag queens and a craft table for kids.
Only 4 drag queens? You would figure with all those funds, they'd have a few more.
Well, this was 2021, and this is the story we were thinking about, Matt.
Oh boy.
But, this is what they're doing. They're taking children that are, whenever we were growing up, they were the quiet kids. They had 1 or 2 friends. They did their own thing. They weren't part of the popular crowd. But now they're taking and saying, oh, you're uncomfortable now? Maybe it's this. Yeah. Let's take you to this group where all these people will love bomb you.
Exactly.
It's
exactly. Now they have a group that they fit in with. So that
or a group they're told, hey, do you feel like maybe this? Well, if you say you do, you can be part of this group and all these people. And we think you're so cool and so brave. If that's the way you're so brave for doing that. And that's just so cool. And we just can't believe what a great person you are and how strong you are. That's all 100% it is.
100% grooming manipulation. Yes. That's exactly what it is.
I was watching a video. It was it was on YouTube. It was one of the compilation videos of things, and it was this kid at somewhere. It's like, I'm a 12-year-old non-binary, asexual, gender fluid, use he, they pronouns, and it's like, you're 12.
Yeah.
How do you know what all of this shit means?
It's been indoctrinated into them. Yep.
And one of the comments was, I can guarantee you it's a single sex family dynamic, whether it's
it's a single mom or 2 moms. That's what it is.
And we were watching, my wife and I were watching something, and it was amazing how it was the family. It was 2 whatever with their hyphenated paragraph long pronouns, and it just so happened that all of the kids in the house from 16 to 8 was also on the alphabet. And it's like, I wonder how that happens.
Services? Where is Child Protective Services now?
Yeah, it's crazy. Freedom said the DOJ filed a lawsuit yesterday against Minnesota regarding its sanctuary city policies.
Yeah.
They need to do the same thing in New York.
Absolutely.
And Juju Law said, whatever happened to just being a tomboy? And that's it exactly. If you're a tomboy, that's exactly what they do. Somebody that has, they want to say there are no gender norms, that they're all crap. What's the phrase they like to use? It's crap. No. It's where it's like enforced by society. It's not real. It's made up.
Shit, I don't know.
That's what they want to say. There's society dictates male and female this and that, and that boys play with trucks.
Construct.
It's a social construct. That's it.
Yeah.
Everything's a social construct, right?
Yeah.
The first thing they do is a girl that likes to play in the woods and climb trees, or a boy that likes to paint and play the piano. Dude, maybe you're
Not even play the piano. Play with like Star Wars figures, man. I guarantee you played with Star Wars figures when you were young.
I still do. I got some over here on the shelf.
I know you do. You freaking nerd. You
But
freaking
you know what I
nerd.
mean? So they're taking things. They'll on one hand they'll say, you know, gender's a construct. There is no gender. But then they'll say, oh wait, you like to play outside and hunt and fish and climb trees as a girl. Well, maybe you should be a boy. Well, wait, gender's a construct. It's none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
You get below the surface of it and it just implodes. It's ridiculous. Holy shit. Are you kidding me, Freedom?
What?
He said, in Quebec this week, 3 men in a relationship adopted a 3-year-old girl.
Oh my goodness.
Holy God.
Yeah, that's so bad. That is so bad.
And
none of it makes sense.
And you just got admonished to be nice because I can't help being a nerd.
I did get who admonished me?
My wife admonished you.
Oh.
But
oh my goodness.
Well, hey, you know what? I can play, and they're not dolls, they're action figures. Thank you very much. And as long as I get my shooting in, I can play with my action figures too. It evens out.
There you go.
But yeah, it's amazing. And you know, reading this here with the and the one funny thing about that kid I was talking about said they were what was it? They were transgender, non-binary, and go by he, they pronouns. So I just want to break that down. So transgender means you're born in the wrong body, so you should be the opposite gender, but he's non-binary, which means doesn't fit in with either gender, but then uses he pronouns. So I was I'm fucking 50 years old and I was confused. So you're telling me this 12-year-old has it figured out? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense whatsoever. It's ridiculous.
We have any comments we need to get to?
Troy said that he feels sorry for anyone waking up from a long coma. You're like, welcome to clown world. It's like, could you imagine waking up after being in a coma? Not even a long comma, Troy. You can have been in a comma for shit 3 years, and it would be a night and day difference.
Is it a comma or a?
Well, I guess a comma is a pause. It's a pause in a sentence.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
So I guess a comma could be a pause in your life, like a comma is a pause. They're interchangeable, Matt. Don't think too much on it.
That's like saying
I think they are
instead of Kiev. Oh, okay.
Well, they're spelled the same.
Yeah.
No, they're not. Never mind. There's 2 M's in comma.
There you go.
Never mind. I'm shutting up now. I've dug myself a deep enough hole. But let's see. What else did we have? Juju Law said, can we just go back to Kindergarten Cop? Boys have a penis and girls have a vagina.
Boys have that was a good movie, actually.
I never thought Kindergarten Cop would need to be used in fucking biology to teach sex ed. Oh my God, that's funny.
It's not a tumor.
You know what? It might be these days. Who knows? But, oh, geez, let's see. Troy says it's a birthing hole. I'm dying.
I'm not going to make it. Did he use that? Did he use that in a sentence like, if you play with action figures, you're most likely a birthing hole?
No, he didn't. It was. It was a complete sentence, but it was a very short and succinct. It didn't involve action figures whatsoever.
Oh shit!
That's like the birthing person and all. It's like I don't know. it has to reach a point that it's just straining the ability to even be taken with a shred of seriousness. It is become a caricature of itself. It really has.
Oh shit.
It has. But yeah, so this is what they were doing with these funds that were supposed to be, again, these were settlements from drug companies for the opioid epidemic and supposed to be used for this, but instead they're using them to fund
another epidemic.
Another epidemic. Yeah. Here's the thing right here. Another one of the points this made. It said, earlier this week, the center held a translating transition seminar meant to teach kids as young as 14. Again, we're teaching kids the basic of transgender identities, social transition, medical transition, and more. In 2020, it hosted representatives of the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia's Gender Clinic to discuss transitioning issues for trans kids. This hospital has faced intense scrutiny for providing hormone treatments like puberty blockers to young trans children and performing gender reassignment procedures, more commonly known as sex change operations, to children. Mm-hmm. And this is what they're taking. They're basically reappropriating money, stealing money from what, because this is their priority. And Josie's on. Josie said, yes, all psychological warfare. And it is. It's psychological warfare on the children. I mean,
well,
I don't know where the off-ramp is for it.
I think there's an off-ramp to this story because holy shit, I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
You know what? That's fair, Matt. That's very fair. So we'll go to something a little lighter, like the government depriving citizens of their rights.
There you go.
This is your story here, the LA County Sheriff's Department. So jump on this one.
What you have to understand is the left, it's not about gun safety. That's their, everything that they do is to just imagine having to have a cover for everything, which they do. So the cover is your safety. You know, if we always quoted that one quote from Mein Kampf, that if you can convince the people that it's for the children, they'll give up any liberty, right?
Yep.
And they love using, they're the first on top of using any mass shooting, even though it's real funny that the majority of these mass shooters are trans, which are tied to the previous story, right? Because they are mentally screwing up these kids. They're mentally screwing them up. They're finding kids that have some issues, and then they're exploiting those issues to push their agenda. And when it comes to your rights, they would rather use that cover story that it's for everybody else's safety, that they can deny you your rights, because at the end of the day, if you're able to defend yourself, if you're able to stand up to tyranny, right? If you're able to do all of these things, that threatens their power. And that's really all this story is saying. LA, is it LA County? It's LA County.
LA County Sheriff's Department, yeah.
Yeah. So LA County is just dragging their feet. They do this in every liberal area. There are certain counties in Minnesota, they were doing the same thing. You have 30 days. They were taking the full 30 days in order to issue. You've done everything right. You've gone and taken the class. You've turned in your paperwork. You've led a crime-free life. You've done everything you're supposed to do. You need a firearm to be able to defend yourself and your family, right? And that's all that is. I mean, it's a huge responsibility to carry a firearm, but everybody should carry a firearm, right? If you don't feel comfortable, then don't carry a firearm. But you have the right under our Constitution to be able to defend yourself, right? And LA County is just another one of these left-wing counties that are going to get in front of your constitutional rights and then put it under the guise of keeping everybody else safe.
Yeah.
keeping everybody else. It's about safety, not your constitutional right. So they're going to trip all over what they're doing, right, in order to keep you from exercising your constitutional right in order to defend yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you can defend yourself and you have this ability, then their power base is a little bit weaker for it. And they don't have that much control over you ultimately. And you've already seen what happens in these European countries where people are being arrested for thought crimes and words that they're saying.
Oh yeah,
And
that's one of the stories I've got up here, Matt, that we're
Mhm.
gonna talk about on the side. But there was it in Canada, I think, where this police commissioner got up there. They're talking about people breaking into houses and stealing from the houses and getting the keys to vehicles, and they're like, don't fight back. Leave the keys by the door and
oh my
retreat to the
lord.
back of your house and don't interfere. Give them whatever they want. And it's just it's creating what they're doing is creating a society of sheep who will be herded wherever they want them to go.
Well,
Again, because what does this?
it's
It's but any threat is going to get that herd to turn because they have no way to defend themselves.
well
So by constantly,
on top of that, Stu, uh when I was a police officer, I had a certification called Alice. And basically what Alice was, it was teaching people how to respond to mass shootings, basically. Okay.
okay,
And it was an updated version of Run, Hide, Fight. But there was a lot of science behind it. And the science, they used examples of, because they always said, be compliant and you're not going to get hurt. Do whatever this individual says and you're not going to get hurt. Well, now they've dug into science via FBI profilers and other federal agency profilers, digging into these mass shooters, and compliance is exactly the opposite of what you want to do. These mass shooters, believe it or not, are looking at a complying victim, and they're seeing that victim as a part of themselves that they hate. Weakness,
mm,
right? Weakness. And these were the people getting shot. And this is evidenced in mass shootings such as, remember the Virginia Tech shootings, where everybody was told to be compliant? You had the guy come in, start shooting the place up, and he would line everybody up at the front of the classroom and he would shoot them all. Boom, 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 boom.
yeah,
Then he'd tell the next group to line up and they would dutifully line up to be shot. Boom, 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 boom. Right? And that's the opposite of what you want to be able to do. You need, when these bastards go in and attack a school or attack a soft target, gun-free zones, right? That's where they go. They know that there's not going to be any resistance. And one moment there is resistance is when their whole facade crumbles. It crumbles. So you
because
make
think
life
about that.
difficult.
Well, think about that Virginia Tech. What if there had
Mhm.
been 3 people in that room that had their concealed carry?
Yep. Yeah, this guy would have been done. He'd have been done. How
But
many people would
because
that have saved? You know?
yeah, but
So yeah, there's really not a whole lot to this story other than the fact that in these liberal cities, the Constitution does not apply. It doesn't
yeah,
apply. And they need to be held accountable when they do this. And thank God we have an administration now that is holding these out of control little fiefdoms to account, because they have no right to trample on your constitutional right and your Second Amendment rights to be able to defend yourself. So screw these
well,
people. Thank God we got an administration that's going after them.
I have a buddy of mine I went to high school with. He was a deputy for several years. And he and I were talking one day, and we're talking about how Georgia went to the constitutional carry.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Man, I don't know about that." He's like, "I like when you had the
Yeah,
permit." He's like, "Now just anybody's going to be carrying. The criminals are going to be carrying." And I looked at him. I said, "Dude, do you think the criminal wasn't carrying because he didn't have a permit? I mean, do you really?" He's
exactly.
like, he thought of, and to his absolute credit, he thought about it for a second. He's like, you know what? No, you're right. That's not who, that's not who having the permitting process was preventing from carrying.
Thank goodness. That's the attitude of a lot of cops, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, some of the people in the military, they think, oh, well, my training is the reason why I am able. No, it's a constitutional right for everybody. Safety comes in. I'm thinking your idea of people being safe or not means nothing. Their constitutional right to be able to defend themselves and to be able to carry a firearm when they're not a felon, they've done nothing wrong, is paramount. You do not get to supplant that right because you think that you are better trained than everybody else and everybody else should have to jump through these hoops. Bullshit. Our Constitution is the final word.
How often is it that the average police officer qualifies?
Yeah, 1 to 4 times a year. 1 to 4 times a year. So we've said it before, and I'm not here bashing cops. There's a lot of good cops, and I used to be a cop. Okay. All I'm saying is the average citizen that's into firearms, and that probably, I would say the average CCW holder trains more than the average police officer does in a year's time. Because 1 to 4 times a year is not sufficient. Now, there's some badass cops out there that train all the time and they compete and they operate at a very high level. That's the way. But
again, Matt, you're talking about training. It's not training, it's qualifying, where they go stand there and shoot maybe 50 rounds.
They do that. There's more training involved too than just that. So there is, or the way we did it, we put a training program together. We got together once a quarter and we qualified, but that was just one small part of it. And the rest of it was exercises and training and going through the things you're supposed to do. Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's great. A department that does that 4 times a year is ahead of the curve. Right. It's up to the individual person that's caring. I don't care if you're a police officer or you're caring for CCW. You need to practice with your firearm on a regular basis if you're going to carry it. It is a huge responsibility, right? That is there. You carry a firearm, you're carrying an extra burden on top of you because you now have the ability to defend yourself, but now you've got to make sure you keep yourself out of problems. You swallow your pride, right? Avoid situations that you might not have before, right? And at the end of the day, every shot that you fire is on you. Right?
Well, and that's the thing. Whenever you and I say, or people that are 2A, whenever the comment is made, an armed society is a polite society, that's exactly what Matt's talking about. Because when you're carrying, the people that are acting a fool on the highway, drop back 4 miles an hour, let them get ahead. It's not, you don't put yourself in that situation, because the thing is, that you have the ability to if an encounter were to occur, to do, and it has the potential to end in the worst way possible.
Correct.
And you don't want that. It's not that is not the burden you want to take on yourself. And people that are responsible, and granted, there are lunatics of all stripe, but the vast majority of the gun owning public, believe me, if we were the problem, there wouldn't be a question about it. It would be well, the problem, the thing we had a problem with would be resolved very quickly. And it just,
you need to avoid bad situations. You need to avoid bad situations. If you are carrying a fire, you want to avoid them anyways. But when you carry a firearm, the only reason why you have that firearm is when there is no other option. So if you got yourself into the problem, that's on you, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes problems can't be avoided. That's why we carry, right? For a deadly situation, we can protect ourselves or somebody else, our family or somebody else. in a situation that was unavoidable and there were no other options, right? But when you go out there and you're carrying a firearm and somebody cuts you off and you get fucking pissed or whatever, you have to take a deep breath and say, fuck it. The guy flips you off, don't flip him off back. Avoid him. Let it go. You see somebody driving erratically, avoid that individual. You see
Yep.
somebody acting like an asshole, avoid that individual. You've got to be prepared. You got to be situationally aware, and you need to take that extra responsibility that that firearm is there for one reason, and in a situation that you couldn't avoid, and there were no other options. Period.
But Matt, you said avoid the asshole. I can only avoid myself for so long before it gets awkward.
Yeah, I hear you, dude.
I mean, I do what I can, but there's just some things that can't be helped.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say me.
Well, hey, you know what? Shoe fits.
There you go.
So, but you were talking about in one of the other stories, or we had brought up, things over in Europe and people being jailed for, thought crimes and hurtful words and all this. This is one I found to bring up as one of the short discussion questions or short discussion deals. There's a Swiss guy that's facing jail time for transphobic social media post that noted male and female skeletons are different.
Oh my goodness.
His statement here, I thought I highlighted it, but I didn't. He said,
is this, wait, hold on, Stu. Is this in Switzerland?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
What he had done, what he had said, I'm trying to see what it was. Okay. Let's see. He wrote, if you dig up LGBTQ people after 200 years, you'll only find men and women based on their skeletons. Everything else is mental illness promoted through the curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, and because he refuses to apologize, because right here, police interrogated him, launching a formal investigation into charges of discrimination and hate speech. This is what
the police over there are wasting their time on when all of these European countries have been flooded with third world immigrants that are raping, murdering, stealing, robbing, threatening, and everything else. And they're going to go after this guy for saying the truth. This is so much bullshit. Switzerland is one of the more conservative European countries. And if it's happening
I don't
there,
know for how much longer.
Holy shit. So Europe is so lost, it's not even funny. These cops, okay, for doing this right here, I think they should be admonished for sure. This is bullshit. You don't go after people for thought crimes and speech. So they don't have a constitution like ours over there. But
yep, he was interrogated.
That's a misappropriation of justice. Period. Amen.
He was interrogated and documented in an official transcript about the intent behind his Facebook reply.
Yeah, that's nuts. That is freaking nuts.
Yep. But that I saw that story and it was like you see all, and again, I think the internet and social media has been a huge downfall to a lot of things. One thing it's also allowed, in addition to, I guess sometimes you have to take the good with the bad, is you see a lot of what's going on, like you said, over in England right now with you see the cops rolling up to this guy's house and be like, we need to talk to you about your Facebook post. And he's like, fuck off. That's what they're doing with, like you said, all of these grooming gangs that they've known have been in the area for decades
that were
and have done nothing about it. But they're rolling up on somebody about their Facebook post as
grooming. Stu, just take this back. Gang raping, sometimes 30 men at a time.
Yes.
Little girls like 12 years old. And in the worst way, use your imagination in the worst ways possible. Think of what some of these Muslim countries do, right? And that's all I'm going to say, right? But
well, they're
worried about Facebook posts. Yeah.
They don't call them Muslim. What is it they call them? Asian.
Yeah.
Asian immigrants.
Yeah, Asian immigrants. They're from Pakistan. Yeah.
You're Asian, Matt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They want you to think that it's Japanese doing this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, yeah. Now, you remember whenever they were the whole big thing when Trump came into office that all the Democrats were just cackling like a bunch of hens over was the price of eggs. What's Trump going to do about the price of eggs? And
yeah,
what they were bringing up,
they killed off hundreds of millions of chickens just after as Biden was leaving office.
exactly.
And so this was coordinated. Yeah.
And why did they do that, Matt? What was their reason?
Their reason was bird flu. That was their
exactly
cover. Bird flu.
Exactly.
But it was to drive the price of eggs up so they could go and say eggs after they killed hundreds of millions of chickens.
So we've got a story, and like I said, there's so much just familiarity, it's scary. This is in Canada, in British Columbia. There's a story, it's an ostrich farm. And these ostriches they're not even raised for food, they're raised for medical research. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So this story started in 2024. All right. There were some sick birds on the farm. Within a month, 69 ostriches were dead from what might have been avian influenza. The remainder of the birds developed herd immunity and survived. But despite the birds being healthy for over 250 days, this group, the CFIA, is adamant about killing every last bird on the farm. But it refuses to test them for the disease or allow the farmers to test for themselves. If the farmers do test the birds for avian flu, they're potentially subject to a $200,000 fine and 6 months in jail for each bird tested.
Is this is up in Canada?
Yes.
Yes, this is. Do you want to hear what fascism is and tyranny? Isn't it funny how the left, that's supposed to be the party of the side of love and peace and everything, they're obsessed with killing for no frickin' reason? Isn't that funny?
So, and that's the thing here. I could see if there was a concern, but okay, if there's a concern, test the birds, but they won't test them, and they're threatening them with a $200,000 fine and 6 months in jail for each bird if the farmer, the owner of the animal, tests it to make sure it is healthy.
That's because they just want to kill these birds, and they don't want the public knowing that they were killing healthy birds.
So
yes, that's why the farmer
down
can't
here,
do that.
The farmer, Pacey is the name of the farmer.
Mm-hmm.
Pacey's called it highly suspicious as to whether the RCMP really believed the birds might be a threat to public health. When they arrived at the farm, despite the agency's insistence that the birds posed a health risk, the CFIA personnel reportedly wore no protective gear. They only donned hazmat suits after about 2 days of a standoff on the farm, even though they were close to the animals. Mm-hmm. There are about 120 RCMP officers at the site as well. They remain in their regular uniforms despite being in close proximity to the ostriches. They're also staying at nearby hotels and dining at local restaurants after being unprotected at the farm all day.
So they know
Pacey calls that highly suspicious if the RCMP really believes the bird's a threat to public health.
Yeah, the RCMP knows this is bullshit. They just want to kill these fucking birds. As part of the government overreach. This is fascism. This is what tyranny looks like. They're going to kill this farmer's fucking birds, no matter what. They're not allowing him to test. They're not allowing anybody else. They're not testing themselves. They're just going to kill the fucking birds. Probably to keep the propaganda. They want to use bird flu for something. So
it's the next COVID.
Yeah. So this is a disgrace.
Because
an absolute disgrace.
You know as well as I do, if this were in any way, shape, or form legitimate, even if the government wasn't going to come in and test the birds, if the farmer said, hey, I'll pay to have this third party come in and test the birds, I'll go over here.
Yeah.
While they do it, and they refuse. And again, what were they saying? It was like 300 birds.
Yeah, that's insane.
So, I think so. You know, you've got 300 birds.
Yeah, they just want to kill these fucking birds.
So that's a $60 million fine if they test all of their birds.
Yeah. What a bunch of bastards. That Canadian government is such a disaster. I really hope Alberta and Saskatchewan and British Columbia, they'll just do it because they'll be landlocked otherwise. Well, they have the ocean, but they'll cut off from the rest of Canada. I hope that they split and become their own country or part of the United States.
All right, Matt. And they're looking at 6 months in jail per animal. So 6 months times 300 birds.
It's 150
divided by 2, 900 years in jail.
Well, 6 months times 300. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So they're looking at a $60 million fine and 900 years in jail for testing their own animals for sickness.
Mm-hmm. That's stupid.
And there was more in the story. I couldn't even get it. I was reading through it, going like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, it's too stupid to be stupid, Stu. And we have any comments we need to hit before we sign off?
Well, yeah, you know what? I do want to read this one part here. She said she was baiting into being arrested when inspectors told her it was okay to feed the birds. They weren't even letting her feed the birds. We were asking for the humane option to feed our animals while they were preparing for their killing. So we just said, let us keep them calm. We'll keep them relaxed. Let's keep them in a routine. We will not be in your way, but let us feed them. That's the humane thing to do for these animals that have been under stress.
Mm-hmm.
When her and her mother attempted to do just that, they were arrested. We filled up the buckets.
Hey, did they end up killing these birds?
It's still ongoing.
So they're going to starve them to death in the meantime.
That's what it seems like based on this reporting. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Hopefully the story will get out and raise some
some
awareness.
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So whatever. Fuck those guys. They're a bunch of whores doing the bidding of the radical Marxists in Ottawa.
It's lunacy. But let's see. Let's see, where'd we go? Let me back up here. Wow, there's a lot of them that came in. Freedom was talking about when we were talking about the firearms. He says, yeah, learn to be a good witness. And Troy had said de-escalation.
Mm-hmm.
And Josie says, so many that don't have common sense, and many that shouldn't have, and many that should carry.
Yeah.
Apparently, Juju Law thinks we're both assholes, which he's probably not far off.
Probably not. Thanks, Juju.
JG says there is no free speech in Europe, and that is absolutely true. You see things coming out of all of Europe, not even just the UK, which has normally been the most in line with the majority of the US mindset. Yeah, there isn't. And Freedom says, I think they're taking the concept of the movie Minority Report a bit too far. Troy says, women are great paleontologists because they're always digging up the past.
That's a t-shirt, Troy. That's a t-shirt right there.
That is a t-shirt. Josie says, true, it's crazy, stupid Europe. Total sinister evil ruling Europe. You can see why guns shouldn't be given up. Just
Yeah,
think how the corrupt
exactly.
election in Moldova went. They need to run away from the EU.
Yeah, absolutely. He's 100%. This is why guns should never be given up. That
And
you're,
JG, go ahead.
what was the last one? What were you going to say?
No, I was reading another comment. Go ahead and finish your.
I was going to say Europe is completely steamrolling their citizens. It doesn't matter what country you're talking about. They're steamrolling their citizens. So,
Yeah.
well, what was the next comment?
Yeah, JG, which JG's up in Canada. He says, yeah, Canada's a full dictatorship up here. And Josie says it seems like it's not even real. So, and he's right. Like I said, you can't make this up.
Well, where's JG at? Which province is he in?
We'll see what he posts. But Josie's right that if you were to wake up from a coma from 10 or 12, 15 years, you would be dumbfounded at what is accepted.
Yeah.
It is,
and what you can say and what you can't say.
Well, I mean, society has always changed, and norms have always shifted. You look back into what was the cultural norms in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Then you look at the 50s and 60s and 70s. And you look at the 80s and 90s. But it just seems like society isn't built to absorb this much cultural change this quickly. I mean, it's normally 30, 40, 50 years of incremental change. Look at what's happened in the past 15.
Yeah.
It is lunacy. And the system just can't take that shock.
No.
But JG says he's in Ontario.
He's in Ontario. Oh, I think we asked him that before.
I think he's mentioned it before now that he brings it up.
Yeah. It's interesting to see what Canadians are actually thinking about this whole Alberta exit thing. So apparently it's not just Alberta. If Alberta does it, apparently Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and British Columbia may join them. So. Yeah. I don't know. We'd love to have you guys as part of the United States. I think if they did do it, they would try to do their own thing, and then they would sign agreements, on oil and all this other stuff with the United States.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
Ottawa is taking advantage of the rest of the country big time. Quebec is sort of getting all the largesse from the rest of the country's hard work. So yeah,
how it normally works.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, what the actual sentiment up in Canada. When I think about it myself, obviously you're proud of your own country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when
as you should be.
When your country is screwing you, and that doesn't seem like there's any ability for you to have any representation, and let's face it, if I was a betting man, I would say those elections all up there, there's no way Trudeau got elected over and over and over and over and over again. No freaking way. So I would say I would be very, very frustrated at that stage. I'm frustrated here, thank God we got Trump back in, but holy shit.
JG has said Alberta has the most money and GDP in Canada.
Yeah, it's where all the oil comes from. That's where Banff is, and it's a beautiful part of the country too. But it's oil, timber, it's all these things, and Ottawa basically cheats Alberta out of their money, as they do some of the other provinces as well. Yeah. So when you look at things, Quebec doesn't produce shit. So compared to somebody like in Alberta or, Saskatchewan or even any of them.
I just thought, Matt, do you know the Hunger Games? Do you know what the Hunger Games is?
I know what it is. I've never seen any of it.
Well, it's like it reminds me of District 1. They don't do anything. It's where all the posh people live. And you've got the other districts out there that are doing the mining and the lumber and the oil. and sending all their money there, and it's just being spent by District 1, where the president is, and all the government and the power players that prance around in their gaudy outfits and whatnot.
Apparently, so the provinces are required to pay a certain amount of money every year from their GDP, however they do it, right?
Oh,
so
gotta give tribute.
Alberta contributes way more than they get back, right? Way more. And they're just getting screwed. So every election comes along, Alberta is primarily conservative. Every election comes along, they have no say in anything. No say in a damn thing. So, and I'm sure I don't know the politics of all of Canada. Okay. But I do know that, Alberta's getting screwed. And I would imagine some of these other provinces are getting screwed too. Canada is rich in natural resources.
Yeah.
And they're limited on what they can develop as far as their natural resources are concerned too. And especially oil. So I would suspect something is going to break. Something is going to break and something's going to happen. I just don't know when. I would rather see it happen sooner rather than later, because this guy Carney is a real piece of work. Their whole government up there is screwed. And then you got this clown who I believe is Ontario. This guy Ford, and his brother used to be, I think, of Toronto, the crackhead mayor of Toronto, right? That was his brother, right? And this guy is just an ass. And listen to him speak. He's a complete clown. And I would really like to see something happen up there, because Canada has gone the way Europe has gone, and they're losing more of their freedoms every freaking year. Come and join us, the conservative portion of Canada. Come and join the United States. We'll make each other stronger. And
JG says if Alberta goes to the U.S., then Canada will collapse. And from what Matt was saying just then, that sounds accurate.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we managed to run an hour and 12 minutes here. So you want to close things out?
Yes, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you for taking part in the conversation. Thank you for educating us. Thank you for telling us what we are. We're assholes. So I know that was joking, but
not really.
Thank you more than anything for being a patriot. Okay? Thank you for being a patriot, whether you're here in the United States, whether you're up in Canada, or whatever country you're listening to us from, right? Thank you for being a patriot. Freedom fighters around the world need to stay strong and support one another, right? There is a globalist attack on the whole world, not just the United States, not just Canada, not just Europe. It's a globalist attack on the world. So patriots from all over and freedom fighters from all over need to support one another. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sticking up for freedom. We'll see you guys next week. Live in freedom every day. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And like we were talking before, if you're carrying, find you a few drills that are good. Try and go shoot as much as you can. Just look out for yourself. Look out for your family. We'll see you guys here next Tuesday for another fascinating glimpse into the mind of Matt and I. So enjoy your week, and we will see you next time.